Just got this tent the other day and I've set it up now. Just started raining about 15 minutes ago, and in the next 24 hours we're supposed to get a significant rain and wind event. So we're going to put this tent to the test and see if it's waterproof. Because if it's not waterproof, then it's no good to any of us. What do you think? Is this tent going to leak or not? I do have concerns about the ridge vent, but we'll see. I may have to close that when it's all said and done. Hey guys, this is Dustin, and I'm in the mountains of North Alabama. And today I'm going to do a review of the Lark one-person backpacking tent. In full disclosure, I will tell you I did not pay for this tent. The founders of Lark, Alex and Jonathan, sent this to me. Thank you guys. And I'll tell you up front, I put this tent through its paces for the last 2.5 months. And if I didn't think it was a good, budget-friendly, viable option for a one-person backpacking tent, I would have just boxed it up and sent it back to them. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to break this thing down, show you the components of it, go over the specs of it. Then I'm going to review my test results where I actually took it out and tested this thing in the cold and the rain, let you know what I found. I'm going to go over the pros and cons of the tent, and then I'm going to tell you what I think they could do to make this thing even better. So stay with me. So what do you get with the Lark one-person backpacking tent? Well, you get a nice stuff sack and carrying case. But let's open this thing up and look at the different components of what actually comes in the bag. So in the bag, you get the fly and the body of the tent, with a little compression strap to hold them together. You get the poles, which are lightweight aluminum poles. It's all one pole held together with a hub. And you get a repair sleeve in case you break one in the field. You also get 8 lightweight aluminum stakes and 4 guy ropes. The guy ropes are substantial. The stakes are pretty thin. So let's get this thing together and see what it looks like. Now I set the tent up without the fly so you could get a really good look at the mesh and the body of the tent. It does have material that comes about, I would say, 1/3 of the way up around the tent near the floor. It does have a nice bathtub floor. But I did want you to see that this tent does come up into a single pole on the top, so it narrows as you get to the head. And that could be an issue. That was something that did aggravate me a little bit, but I got used to it. Now let's put the fly on it and see what it looks like. Okay, this is with the fly on, and we're starting at the back side of the tent and the foot. And you'll notice I have the guy ropes on it. I do recommend you guy this tent out because the way it's made, it goes up into a single point at the top. The fly tends to lay against the mesh, so guy it out to make sure you give yourself plenty of ventilation and make sure that the fly does not lay on the mesh or the body of the tent. That's no problem in the vestibule. The back side is the only problem. It could be an issue. And then as you work your way around to the head of the tent, you'll notice I've got it guyed out there too. It also has a ridge vent there that you can open for extra ventilation. So let's talk about the specs on this tent. The website and Amazon lists the Lark tent at 2.63 pounds. I've weighed it several times with my electronic scale, and I come up with 2 pounds 8 ounces. So it's either 2 pounds 8 ounces, 2 pounds 9 ounces. It is made, the fly and the floor, of a 20 Denier ripstop nylon that is silicone coated. It has taped seams, and I looked at them. The taping seems to be really good. The workmanship on this tent, I did not find any loose hanging threads anywhere on this tent. So the workmanship seems to be really good. The waterproof rating on it is 3,000 millimeters, so that's pretty good. The dimensions of the tent are 41 inches high. It's 85 inches long this way, 85 inches long, 38 inches at the head, and at the legs it's about 30 inches. So it does taper as it goes down. So let's go inside this thing and see what it looks like. Oh, incidentally, it does have 20 square feet of floor space, and the vestibule is 4.8 square feet. So this is a true one-person backpacking tent. And as we come inside, we can see that 38 inches at the head. You have a storage pocket there on the back side. You have a vent there that's guyed out, but it is a true one-person backpacking tent, which means it's not really that big inside. 20 square feet, it's enough. I'll show you what it looks like with a sleeping pad in it and how I set it up. First time I stayed in this tent, I used my 78-inch by 25-inch wide pad, and it didn't leave me a lot of headroom. So the second time I went with my 72-inch pad, and that left me about a foot at the top. And I actually just stuck my backpack in and used it as kind of a headboard in the tent. Had plenty of room to put it in there. It also kind of opened up the headspace a little bit by putting a backpack in the end of the tent, the top of the tent. Had plenty of room lengthwise in the tent. I will tell you, as you sit up in the tent, it does narrow, so my shoulders were touching the mesh on each side, and you know, even my head was touching up here, you know, on each side, sitting straight up. I am 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", something like that. So you don't have a lot of shoulder room with this tent, but you do have a pretty good bit of floor space. It was very comfortable sleeping in it. But if you're expecting a lot of, you know, shoulder room in this tent, it does not have a lot of shoulder room. That's probably my only real big con on that tent, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's go now and I actually take you to the test nights when I slept with it out in the rain and out in the cold. So it's been 8 hours since I set the Lark one-person backpacking tent up. Since I set it up, we've had intermittent rain, and just recently, about 30 minutes ago, an hour ago, we had really hard rain. So let's look inside and see if this tent has leaked any. All right, let's go in and see if it's leaked any. This end is bone dry, and the head end is bone dry. I was a little concerned about the ridge vent, but I don't see any leaking there around that ridge vent, even though I left it open. So let's zip it back up. Okay, so this is a 20D Sil-nylon tent. It doesn't seem to be sagging too bad, but I was concerned about this ridge vent being open. I left it open just for ventilation. I also staked out the back of the tent to get more ventilation. And so far, this thing is dry as a bone inside. We'll come back and check on it in the morning. It's supposed to rain most of the night, and see how it does. Okay, so on this end, we do have a little bit of water on the floor, just some drops here and there. Not much. It looks like it did come from around perhaps the ridge vent up here, which right there I can see just a little wet spot right there. Very little. So we did get some leaking with 1.5 inches of rain. I can't call that a fail because there's no pooling water in here at all, but there were a few drops there, and I need to check that out and see if I can determine exactly where it came from, but it seems to be coming from right around there where the vent is. Okay, when I put my hand up inside the ridge vent, I do feel water up there. It is wet. And that's where the water did come from, was around the ridge vent. Now the question is, did it blow up under the vent, or is it leaking around the seams? This is a seam sealed tent, but there again, these seams right around the ridge vent right here, they might need some more sealing put on them. I'm going to do a test with a water hose running over that just to see if I can reproduce that later today. And I'm out in the Trail Lark one-person backpacking tent doing a test on this tent. And I've checked it for waterproofness, and it is waterproof. But it's been out in the rain now for about 6 hours, raining on and off. And I'm actually bedded down in this tent just to see how it sleeps and how the condensation is. Well, good morning. I made it through the night. No water in the tent. Rained most of the night, on and off, some wind. You know, tent held up really well. It is small in here. It's got really good floor space, as I said before, but the walls angle in so much, as you can see right here, that they are pretty much touching my shoulders and the top of my head. Even though the roof is 6 inches above the top of my head, though, you know, the walls are so tight up here that, you know, it pretty much it does touch your head when you sit up. Of course, I'm over 6 feet tall, 6'2". A lot of condensation on the fly, which you would expect with it raining all night, but no water in the tent. Tent stayed nice and dry. I'm going to get out of this thing and get me some coffee this morning. So this is my third and final test on this tent. First night I took it out, it rained most of the night and got down to about 55. Second time I took it out, the tent was soaking wet, and on the outside it was dry inside, and it got down to about 33 that night. It cleared off. Tonight we're starting out at 28. It's supposed to get down to about 25. I want to see how this thing does in cold weather, and then we'll just go ahead and list all the pros and cons on the tent. See you guys in the morning. Bye. So what are the pros and cons of the Trail Lark tent? Well, let's go over the pros first. First of all is affordability. Alex and Jonathan said they're committed on their website to making lightweight backpacking gear affordable. And $99 for a Sil-nylon tent is a pretty good deal. Now, you can find other tents on Amazon in this price range. Most of those are polyester tents, and most of them weigh 4 pounds or more. So this tent for 2.8 pounds, which is another plus. It's not ultralight, but that's pretty lightweight. Now, you can find tents that weigh 2 pounds or less that are made of Sil-nylon on Amazon. But most of those tents are going to run you $300 or more, not $99. So that's a really good price for this tent. The workmanship of this tent, as I said before, I did not see any loose threads on this tent. It has a 3,000 millimeter waterproof rating on the fly. That's really good. And then it's taped. The seams are taped. All those things are really good about this tent. Good materials, good workmanship, a really good affordable price. The cons on this tent, first of all, are the stakes. I would probably get me some new stakes, and that's true with a lot of tents, but these tent stakes are very, very flimsy. Second of all is the overall design. This tent narrows at the top, so you don't have a lot of shoulder room, and you don't have a lot of headroom, even though it's 41 inches high. And that can be aggravating. Also, the vestibule is only 4.8 square feet. Not a lot of room in the vestibule either. So those are probably the main drawbacks on this tent that I saw. Now I'm going to tell you what they could do to make this tent even better. What would I tell the guys at Trail Lark to do to make it my perfect one-person backpacking tent? 2 things. First of all, increase the shoulder width. So when you sit up, you have more headroom, more shoulder room. Make the vestibule a little bit bigger. Now I know that would increase the weight of the tent and increase the expense of the tent. But even if it was 3 pounds and $150, then it would be my perfect one-person backpacking tent if that was the size on this tent. So that's the only 2 suggestions. I know they've got 2 new tents coming out, a new 1-person tent, I think called the Songbird, and a 2-person tent. They're on their website. They haven't got pictures of them up or specs or data or anything. I can't wait to see what they come out with. It'll be interesting to see if they do put more headroom in that 1-person tent. But then, for me, that would be a perfect one-person backpacking tent. And I hope to see you guys out on the trail. Thanks for watching the video.